Hey guys, it is Tuesday, October 20th, 2020. Good to see you. Let's start off how we always start off. Let's breathe. Just take a deep breath in, out, in, out, in, out. Okay. All right. Smile. It's Tuesday. It's just a regular day that we can be grateful for. Okay. So Miss Claus had a meeting, so she's not with us today. So you're stuck with Miss Wiley. Okay, this is our agenda for today on your remote agenda, which you find on the app. We're going to be doing another revising and editing passage together, and then you're actually going to do one on Google Form and turn it in. And really, if you're paying attention to the video, then you should have no problem with the Google Form, okay? Because it's the same one. You're also going to practice no red ink, commonly confused words. It's released this morning at 6:50 and it's due tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Wednesday at 3 o'clock. So make sure you finish it because another one is going to release tomorrow, Wednesday. So we have 3 different assignments for you to do this week, and they're due the following day, okay? So make sure you're keeping up with it. You should have no problem finishing all your work in the 2 periods that you have for language arts if you're working hard, okay? All right. So you're going to turn in the Google form for this revising and editing passage that I will show you. And then it would be nice if you could get your commonly confused words assignment done on no red ink that Miss Raymond's going to push out to you. Okay. Let's go to our revising and editing strategies. This is required. You must do your strategies. And if you can't print anything at home, then you need to be getting a scratch sheet of paper and going through these strategies and making sure that you're doing these as you're actually looking at a revising and editing passage, okay? And they're a little bit different than reading passages, so pay attention. And Ms. Claus and I did a big lesson last week about this, so I'm going to shorten it this week a little bit, and hopefully you can try to do some on your own, okay? So first things first, label the paper as a personal narrative or nonfiction. Look at the info above the title, record next to the title. Same thing with reading. We record fiction or nonfiction depending on what type of text it is. Second strategy, read questions and underline important words in the question. Same thing we do with reading. Read the questions first. Step 3, next, underline the sentence from the question in the student's paper. So you're going to go back and forth between the question and the student's paper that you're trying to edit or revise, and you're actually going to highlight or underline those sentences that are being focused on in the questions, okay? Step 4, read the paper. Okay, actually read the paper as you're reading. See if you can figure out anything that is wrong, anything that sounds strange, or anything that you see needs to be changed. All right. Sorry, that was... Now, next, read the questions and go back to the sentences that are being asked about. And it's important to read the sentence in its original form. So if it's asking about sentence 2, you need to go back and read sentence 2 and then actually go in and plug in anything that needs to be possibly changed to see if it's correct, okay? Start with answer choice D and go through all the answer choices. Make sure to plug in the new option for the answer choices, okay? 7, mark why you're not choosing the answer choice. This is required. This is required in reading also. You have to do this. This tells us and tells yourself why you're not picking it. If you don't know why you're not picking it, then maybe it's the right answer, okay? Number 8, record your answer beside the question. That is part of your strategies. Make sure you're doing that. Okay. This is our passage for today, okay? It's pretty short. We have 5 questions. We're going to go through these together. Hint, hint on your Google form. They pretty much match up, okay? All right, first strategy. Label the paper as a personal narrative or nonfiction. Look at the info above the title, record next to the title. All right, there is no info above this passage, this short little paragraph. But can we kind of skim it and see what we think it possibly might be? If it's listing facts, information, then it's probably going to be an expository paper or nonfiction. If it's listing character names, first names, if it shows dialogue, then it's probably going to be fiction or personal narrative. In this case, I see Jerry, Teddy, looks like some first names of some characters, a teacher's name, it looks like, some dialogue here. So I'm going to say that it is personal narrative. So I'm going to write personal narrative next to this little, there's no title, but this little writing activity number 20. We could consider that the title of this passage. Okay. Strategy number 2. Read questions and underline important words in the question. All right. So we're going to go straight to the questions first. And as we're actually kind of 2 and 3 go together, read questions and underline important words in the question, and then underline the sentence in the question in the student's paper that corresponds with the question, okay? So question 1, what change, if any, should be made in sentence 2? Okay, so I would underline change, underline sentence 2, go back up here, and you're going to highlight sentence 2 or underline it. I'm an underline kind of gal, so I'm not a big highlighter person, but I do like to underline. Underline or highlight this sentence 2. Question 2, what change, if any, should be made in sentence 3? Underline change, underline sentence 3, go back up here and actually underline or highlight sentence 3. Okay. Question 3, what change, if any, should be made in sentence 6? Underline change in the question, underline sentence 6 in the question, go back up, underline or highlight sentence 6. Okay. Now, these are editing questions, numbers 1 through 3, which means you're finding mistakes about grammar, spelling, punctuation, capitalization, those types of things. And then these 2 questions are revising questions. Question 4, which is the best way to rewrite sentence 7? And the reason why these are revising questions, because you're kind of changing the meaning, okay? And they're kind of more difficult, so you definitely want to read carefully. Which is the best way to rewrite sentence 7? I would underline best way, rewrite, and then sentence 7. Okay, go back here and highlight or underline sentence 7. Okay, and then question 5, what sentence does not belong in this paragraph? Okay, you might have kind of recognized it, or you might recognize it, when you actually read it, but one of these sentences is not going to belong. So as you're reading the paragraph, be thinking about something that doesn't fit, doesn't go with the topic sentence, okay? All right, next thing we do is reread the paper. As we read, we're going to pick out anything that stands out to us that is a mistake and mark that. Mrs. Rosette asked Jerry to stand up. Then she said, Jerry, will you please share that note with the rest of the class? You and Teddy seem terribly absorbed in it, and I'm sure the rest of us would find the note interesting. Jerry lowered his head and even seemed to become smaller. This could be the most horrible moment of my entire life, Jerry thought to himself. He had written Teddy about a girl he had met at a dance at the Biggs Middle School the week before. The note was filled with all kinds of things that if his teacher read it aloud would embarrass Jerry. Teddy hated his lunch. Silently, he wadded up the note and ate it. So if I was looking for surprises, which I'm not, because this is not a reading passage, I would be surprised that he ate the note. So, okay, after we get done reading the paper, we're going to read the questions and go back to the sentences that are being asked about. And it's important to read the sentence in its original form. All right, so what change, if any, should be made in sentence 2? So I'm going to go up here and read sentence 2. Then she said, Jerry, will you please share that note with the rest of the class? What do we need to do? D says make no change. Never choose that one immediately and never mark it out immediately. There may only be 1, maybe 2 on your whole entire writing star test that have the answer make no change. Okay, it's very rare. C, insert a comma after please. Okay, so if we insert a comma right here after please, says, then she said, Jerry, will you please share that note with the rest of the class? I'm not sure that there's a reason for the comma to be there. And if you notice, Miss Wiley paused when I was reading that comma right there. So make note of that when the next time you're trying to read something and there's a comma, you're going to want to pause a little bit. B, insert quotation marks before Jerry. Okay. Then she said, quote, Jerry, will you please share that note with the rest of the class? You and Teddy seem terribly absorbed in it, and I'm sure the rest of us would find the note interesting. So these are all the things that Miss Rosette is saying. So if she's saying these things, where does her quote start? All quotes have a pair. They come in pairs. Quotation marks come in pairs. There's 2. One at the beginning, one at the end. So think about that. A says delete the comma after said. So if you deleted this comma, then she said, Jerry, will you please share that note with the rest of the class? Think about what I just said about commas and quotes. Okay. Question 2. What change, if any, should be made in sentence 3? J says make no change. Don't choose that one immediately. H says change us to we. Oh, Miss Wiley made a mistake. I need to go up here and read this sentence. You and Teddy seem terribly absorbed in it, and I'm sure the rest of us would find the note interesting. So we're not going to choose make no change, but let's look at change us to we. You and Teddy seem terribly absorbed in it, and I'm sure the rest of we would find the note interesting. You can hear that that sounds kind of funny, okay? But you notice how Miss Wiley went back up here and I plugged in the word that the answer choice was suggesting. G, change terribly to terrible. You and Teddy seem terrible absorbed in it, and I'm sure the rest of us would find the note interesting. Okay. F, insert a comma after it. You and Teddy seem terribly absorbed in it, and I'm sure the rest of us would find the note interesting with the comma after it. Okay. Comma and a fanboy here. Fanboys are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Okay. Anytime you have a comma and a fanboy, you got to have 2 complete sentences on either side of it. So this first one, you and Teddy seem terribly absorbed in it. That's a sentence. I'm sure the rest of us would find the note interesting. That's a sentence. Okay. So keep that in mind when you're answering number 2. Question 3, what change, if any, should be made in sentence 6? Go up to sentence 6. He had written Teddy about a girl he had met at a dance at the Biggs Middle School the week before. I already see a mistake there. But let's go down to the question. Make no change. We're not going to choose that immediately. C says change capital Biggs to lowercase Biggs. He had written Teddy about a girl he had met at a dance at the lowercase Biggs Middle School. Well, if that's the name of the middle school, why are you lowercasing Biggs? Insert a comma after Teddy. He had written Teddy about a girl he had met at a dance at the Biggs Middle School the week before. I'm not sure that that's a legal use of a comma. A says change Biggs Middle School to Biggs Middle School capital letters. All right. He had written Teddy about a girl he had met at a dance at the Biggs Middle School the week before, all capital letters. Well, if you're writing our school's name out, Barbers Hill Middle School North, it's all going to be capitalized because it's the name of our entire school. Okay? Keep that in mind. All right. Question 4. Which is the best way to rewrite sentence 7? Let's go back to sentence 7. The note was filled with all kinds of things that if his teacher read it aloud would embarrass Jerry. It doesn't sound terrible, but there's no make no change. So we're going to have to change it. So let's start with J. The teacher would embarrass Jerry if the note she read aloud. That's a little backwards, okay? The note she read aloud, I'm not sure that would make sense in a complete sentence. H, the note was filled with all kinds of things that would embarrass Jerry if his teacher read it aloud. That sounds better than J. And in this case, when you're looking at lots of different answer choices to change, possibly, look at the one that makes or sounds the best or makes the most sense, or if it sounds better than the other answer choices. G, it would embarrass Jerry, the note, if the teacher read it aloud. So obviously the note is it, but it's strange to have it offset by commas in the middle of the sentence. F, if the teacher read it aloud, it would embarrass Jerry. In this case, what's it? There's no indication that the note is described in F. Okay. And question 5, what sentence does not belong in this paragraph? Okay, so let's look at sentence 5. This could be the most horrible moment in my entire life, Jerry thought to himself. Okay, possibly that goes along with the note. Sentence 8. Teddy hated his lunch. Does that have anything to do with the note? Sentence 7. The note was filled with all kinds of things that if his teacher read it aloud would embarrass Jerry. Does that have anything to do with the note? Sentence 6. He had written Teddy about a girl he had met at a dance at the Biggs Middle School the week before. Is that about the note? Which one could you take out and it would be perfectly fine? Which one do you say, who cares? That's what I always say. All right, so you need to complete this activity on Google Form. Here's your Google Form. Last name, first name, teacher. Here's the read aloud if you need it. There's the passage, and then here are the 5 questions. Same questions that we looked at on this copy, okay? Make sure you complete that, submit that at the end, and so we can see how you do. All right, you're also going to be doing no red ink. So if you click your Clever button, okay, just like Miss Wiley's doing, you're going to go to no red ink. You're going to have an assignment that's about commonly confused words. You're going to have its versus its, two versus two versus two, and your versus your. Okay? These are all the ones that you're going to have. All right. Its versus its. Your proof for that is to, first of all, it's IT apostrophe S. That's the contraction for it is. So you need to substitute that for any kind of it's in the sentence to see if it should be it is or just it's. ITS, okay? Make sure you look at the lesson. Nala threw out the backpack when she couldn't get it is zipper to work properly. You don't need it is here. The zipper belongs to the backpack. So Nala threw out the backpack when she couldn't get its zipper to work properly. Okay. It is fun to work with Sirius Black because he's laid back and has a rich sense of humor. Okay, that makes sense. So you need the apostrophe there. It is fun to work with Sirius Black. Minerva McGonagall is frustrated with her iPhone because its touchscreen is hard to operate. It's its touchscreen. The touchscreen belongs to the phone. It is doesn't make sense there. Okay. Let's go into your next one. 2, 2, and 2. Okay, 2, 2, and 2. TOO represents excessive amount, a lot of something. It can also mean also. Okay. TWO is the number 2. Okay. And TO means you're going to go to a location, to somewhere. So Gail Hawthorne asked where he could buy 2 pounds of goat cheese under $30. How many? 2, TWO. Julie Wiley's 2 backpacks are both overflowing with papers. This is also going to be the number 2. How many do I have? 2. TWO. Senna kept building sandcastles until there were too many to count. Too many. And if you say it too, as in you elongate those 2 O's, you can almost hear it. It means a lot of something. So obviously, Senna kept building sandcastles until there were lots of them. There were too many to count. So TOO is correct. Moaning Myrtle thought the costume was too expensive since she only planned to wear it once. Too expensive, TOO. Oliver Wood brings his own salad dressing whenever he goes out to eat. Where does he go? Out to eat. TO. We're not talking about 2 eats. We're not talking about too much of something. He's just going out to eat. Gilderoy Lockhart tried to toss his orange peel into the garbage can, but it bounced off the side. Tried the number 2 tosses, or tried to toss. It should be just tried to toss it. Okay, just regular 2. All right. Let's go to your last topic. Okay. Your and your. The apostrophe is a contraction for you are, and your non-apostrophe, y or you are, means it belongs to you. So the way you're going to prove this is you're going to plug in you are for every time you see your, and that's your proof. And if it makes sense, then you're going to go with it. If it doesn't, then take out the apostrophe and take off the E. Okay. Does the phrase you are make sense in the blank below? You are giant pumpkin won first place at the fair. No. It should be your pumpkin because it belongs to you. Okay. Which word should go in the blank? You are pumpkin. You are giant pumpkin won first place at the fair, or your, Y-O-U-R. It should be this one because you are doesn't make sense in that sentence. Did Cho Chang stop by your house yesterday afternoon? Your house doesn't make sense. I'm going to delete the apostrophe and delete the E. Did Cho Chang stop by your house yesterday afternoon? Neville Longbottom is friends with you because you are really funny and always listen when he's upset. That should be you are. You apostrophe R-E. So you get the idea of those 3 commonly confused words. Look at the lesson if you have problems. But that is all for your agenda today. Make sure that you turn in your Google form for your passage that we did together. I just didn't tell you the exact answers. I gave you some hints. And then start on your No Red Ink. It is going to be due at 3 o'clock tomorrow. And we'll talk to you later. Have a good day.